Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. We made it through another week. Thank you, Lord. It's been a long week. I don't know about for y'all. It has for me. It's been a long week. It's been kind of slow, fits and starts at work, but we made it through. So if we can make it through the storms tomorrow here in Arkansas, we will be doing okay. So welcome all my regulars. It's good to see everybody here. If you're new here, thank you for choosing to watch this live stream out of all the millions that are out there. Tonight, we're going to talk about this is one of our True Crime After Darks. We usually do these about every other Friday night or so, sometimes on Thursday nights, depending on how the schedule works out. But we're going to talk about some missing persons, some cold cases, some case updates, and whatever you guys. This is kind of a more looser format than our missing person Monday live stream that we do every Monday, where we feature missing person cold cases. So I can get into chat more if there's anything true crime related or not, because usually anybody who's been around for a while knows it will devolve at some point, but that's okay. Get my hair out of my mouth here. If anybody has any, I do have some stories, some cases, some updates I want to talk about. But if there's anything that any of you guys that you know about, any cases, any active Amber Alerts, Silver Alerts, any missing persons or anything of that nature that you guys know about that I might not have heard about, please do put it in chat. Or if you're watching on Replay Crew, thank you. We love our Replay Crew. You can put a comment below if there's a case that you would like me to, a cold case, so whether it be a homicide, a cold case homicide, a missing person, current missing person, cold case, whatever, doesn't matter, that you would like me to take a look at. You can either email me, let me find it right there. You can email me at southerngaltruecrime@hotmail.com, or you can leave a comment below in the comments. I'm telling you, it's been a long day. My brain has already shut down for the weekend. But I'll be happy to take a look at it, do a video, talk about it in the live stream, whatever the case may be, because that is why we are here. So let me see who all is here. Lots of people have checked in. Let me get down to the top of the comments here. Lisa Joe checked in. Hello, ma'am. Always good to see you. Chris is here. Good to see you, sir. Miss Farr is here all the way from Australia. Good to see you. Always. GP is here. Good to see you. Yes, Farr says, welcome everyone coming in. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you're coming in, please say hi in the chat if you wish. If you prefer to lurk, that is fine. We love our lurkers too. Yes, please. Miss Farr says, yes, please do all the things. If you haven't already subscribed, if this is your cup of tea, you know, after you watch this, whether you're watching it on replay or watching it live, this is a safe space, you know, to voice our opinions. Even if we have different opinions, we can agree to disagree and have nice adult conversations about things that we might disagree on. But the main reason we are here is to bring attention to missing persons, to unsolved cold cases, to bring more awareness, in the good way, no drama. So if you think that is your cup of tea, please consider subscribing, but do please hit the like button. It does help the algorithm, supposedly. And please, once again, I don't think I've mentioned this in the last couple of live streams, do the YouTube gods, as Arctic say, our friend Arctic says, sometimes sees fit to unsubscribe you from channels that you have subscribed to. So please just take a minute every once in a while to make sure that you are still subscribed to channels that you want to be subscribed to, and then the notification bell is on and all those good things, because you know how the YouTube is, you know, they kind of go rogue sometimes. Thank you, Miss Farr. There's Miss Stormy. Good to see you. Stormy reminds me, speaking of storms, we're going into our second severe weather season here in Arkansas. Starting tomorrow, we're supposed to have a round of storms. We're actually starting early in the morning up in Northwest Arkansas. I don't know if Mustang is here, and I can never remember if Mustang is in Northwest or Northeast Arkansas. But anyway, and then moving its way down to Central Arkansas where I'm at. So hopefully it won't be too bad. So how's everybody's weather in y'all's part of the world? Good evening to you again, ma'am. There's Miss Louise. Good to see you, ma'am. Let's see. Chris says, what is 50-50? Something's 50-50. There's our Doodle. Hello, Doodle. How are you? How are you doing? Good to see you, Miss Doodle. And please do check out all these wonderful creators that are in here. Stormy, Sleuthy Sweetheart, Miss Doodle, Miss Paula. There's Miss Paula. She's here. Welcome, dear. Check out Miss Paula. Anybody else who has a channel that I may forget to mention, I apologize. Please do check out all these wonderful creators. There's Mustang. I knew she had to be there somewhere. Good to see you. Good to see you. Let's get caught up. Thank you. Chris says he likes my black shirt. Yeah, it's my Nick and Norman's shirt. For anybody, if you're a Walking Dead fan of the show Walking Dead, Norman Reedus and Greg Nicotero, who Norman Reedus is an actor. Of course, the first thing I ever saw him in was Boondock Saints, but he has gone on to achieve even more fame playing Daryl Dixon in The Walking Dead. And then Greg and Nicotero, I swear I have not been drinking. I can't talk. Greg Nicotero, he started out as a special effects guy, but he does a lot of writing, directing, producing, does a lot of work on The Walking Dead. So anyway, Norman and Greg started a restaurant together. There's only two of them. The original one is somewhere in Georgia. I can never remember the name of the town. And then the second one is in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And on a trip a couple of years ago, we actually stayed in Chattanooga and we ate at Nick and Norman's. So I had to get my shirt. So I have one like this with the Nick and Norman's logo and the motorcycle, and then have another one. Can't remember what it says. Maybe the logo, and then it has zombies on it. So anyway, that's the story behind the shirt. I felt like being kind of casual tonight, with the hair and the clothes. So anyway, but thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. There's Mr. Frank Meister. Good to see you, sir. He says, "Good evening, y'all. What up? What up? Good to see you, sir. Please do check out Frank Meister." Let's see. We'll get caught up. Yes, absolutely. Chris says, "Can we suggest a CD to be covered in the Missing Person Monday?" Absolutely. Absolutely. Just put it in comments or shoot me an email. If you're on Facebook with me, you can send it on Facebook Messenger. Put it in a comment on any of the Missing Person Monday videos. I look at all my comments. But absolutely, because I still haven't figured out which city we're going to do next for this Monday for Missing Person Monday. So if anybody has any suggestions, please do put them in. Yep, absolutely. Please hit the like button. So GP and Frank Meister are buddies. Excellent, excellent. Nobody's just a plain Jane. GP said, "Thank you, Chris. Just a plain Jane here." Nobody's a plain Jane. Everybody is special in some kind of way. Absolutely. So Northwest Arkansas. Yeah, so Mustang, y'all probably get the storms before we will here in Central Arkansas. Because the Razorback game is at about, I think it comes on at 2:30 tomorrow, and that's about the time they say that it's going to hit up in that way because they're playing in Fayetteville. So we may have a rain or a storm delay, but I don't, honestly, with the Razorbacks this year, even with, last week was Petrino's first. He's the interim head coach now since they fired Pittman, and I saw a little bit of difference. We played a little bit better, but then it's been this way for years. Arkansas always forgets that they had to play 2 halves of football, so they come out the second half and just implode. But anyway, so we'll see how it goes tomorrow. But the Georgia, because I do like Georgia, they're my second favorite SEC or college football SEC team. They'll be playing at the same time, so I may end up watching the Georgia game instead of the Arkansas game. I know that's horrible. I'll be flipping back and forth. Frank Meister says, "I lived in Hot Springs in the early 90s. Excellent. I love Hot Springs. I hadn't been up there in a while. I believe Mustang lives Northwest Arkansas. Yep. Cool. I didn't know you used to live in Arkansas, Frank Meister. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, we used to go to Hot Springs a lot. Lots of, which Hot Springs is just a cool city in my opinion anyway, but there's a lot of mafia and gangster history with Hot Springs. So I find that fascinating because I'm into the American mafia and things of that nature, researching it, studying up on it. So another reason that I love Hot Springs. I have been to Hot Springs does have a mafia museum. I have been to that. We did one of the duck boat tours that takes you past, I believe it was a restaurant or maybe it was a house that was turned into a restaurant that Al Capone, and then they have I can't think of the name of the motel right now, the famous motel that Capone stayed in whenever he was in Hot Springs. And then he would go to this restaurant. It was on Lake Hamilton. And they had like a secret escape route where you get to go down under and get in a boat and take off. If the feds, the LE law enforcement ever came looking for Capone when he was there. So it's just a very, very cool place. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, hopefully we won't have any naders. They said there's just a low possibility of tornadoes. Of course, they always say, you can't rule out a tornado. I think it's mostly just going to be some wind, lightning, lots of rain. Possibility of a tornado, small possibility. So I'm not really too concerned, but we just, as long as we stay aware and of course I have all the notifications set on my phone for weather. So Frank says it's good to see everyone. Good to see you too. And Mustang says she's around 45. Oh, everything just jumped. 45 minutes from Fayetteville. Yep. Oh my goodness. Frank Meister says he partied with Bill Clinton's younger brother Roger on a daily basis when I lived there. Wow. I would love to hear those stories if there's any you could ever tell at any point. That's a whole other can of worms right there, I'm telling you. The Arlington, thank you. Yes, the Arlington, which actually, sadly, a few years ago, the Arlington actually caught on fire. And I can't remember if they raised it, demolished it or not, but it was just so sad. So sad. Yeah, I can't remember. A Mustang says one of those old time gangsters retired to Hot Springs. Yeah, I can't remember. There's a lot of them back in the day that, like I said, Capone definitely was one of them. He had his own room actually at the Arlington. And I think before it caught on fire, I don't think it's open anymore. I can't remember. I'll have to look up and see if they renovated it or if they tore it down. Or I think there was, here a while back, they were still trying to decide what they were going to do with it. But yeah, you could stay in the Al Capone room. Of course, it cost obviously a pretty penny to stay in, but that would have been so cool to do. Frank Meister says the restaurant used to, the restaurant used to be where, I don't know if the Holiday Inn still sits on a lake, but that's where the old restaurant that Al Capone used to go to. Yeah, I know it was on the lake. And it was just so cool because, like I said, we were doing the duck boat tour. And of course, the guide said, pointed out, you could see the place because the restaurant was sitting kind of like on a rocky outcrop. I'm trying to envision. It's been years ago. And it showed the place. You could actually see it kind of looked like a little cave entrance. But yeah, they say if, Capone or any of the gangsters were in there and if they thought law enforcement was coming to check up on them or to get them for some reason, they had a secret, hallways and things. They went down and got in the boat and came out on the lake and took off. So it's very cool, very cool. Well, Frank Meister said what? Something about Barbara Streisand. Wait, says I'm at Barbara Streisand at the Arlington Theater when Bill Clinton's mom died. Oh my goodness. Oh. You talking about Bugs Malone? Also was all this. I can't talk. Oh my goodness. Was the Arlington where the gangsters stayed? Yep. Hey, Miss Tammy. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you here, ma'am. There's Miss PJ. Hello, hello, ma'am. Yep, Bugsy Malone. Absolutely. Yep, there's a whole lot of them. Whole lot of them. We'll have to make some time to get back up to Hot Springs. Like I said, it's been years and years and years. Well, I say years and years, actually, as far as going and doing the touristy things, like the gangster things. A couple of years ago, we went to Brett Michaels came to the casino at Oaklawn for a concert, and we went up there to see him. So it's that was 2 years ago, a year or two ago. It hasn't been that long. So that is the last time I've been to Hot Springs. And then we used to go over there back in the day, just about every weekend, every summer, to Magic Springs when they had their they would do concerts every weekend at the Timberwood Amphitheater there in the amusement park, theme park. Saw lots of good bands there. Lots of good country bands, lots of good 80s bands, hair bands, that, my thing, my jam, the 80s hair bands. So we would go over there. We would get season passes because if you bought tickets individually, it was just outrageous just to get into the theme park, into Magic Springs. But if you bought a season pass, if you just went 2 or 3 times, it paid for itself. So, and we would usually go depending on who was playing, who was going to be doing concerts there. We usually ended up going at least three times this summer, maybe more. Saw lots of good bands there. Lots of good old bands, classic rock. Let's say classic rock bands, hair bands. Although I think now my kind of music is considered classic rock, maybe even oldies, the 80s and 90s. Just makes me feel so old. So old. Anyway, speaking of music, unfortunately, I'm just so bummed out because Ace Frehley passed away yesterday, which was it shocked me, really. I knew that he had, for anybody who doesn't know, Ace Frehley was the original guitar player for Kiss, one of the original members. And I knew that a couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, he had taken a bad fall, I think at the studio. And then apparently he developed a brain bleed. And then yesterday the news came out that he passed away from it. So I was just really bummed out about that. Kiss is one of my all-time favorite bands. So RIP to Ace. Thoughts and prayers to his family. Obviously, he will be missed. Let's see who else is here. I just don't want to miss anybody before we get started. I promise we're fixing to get started on what we're here for. But like I said, True Crime After Dark. We talk about some true crime. We talk about some other stuff like we've been talking about. I try to get into the chat more with you guys. Hello again, Miss Doodle. Have you been behaving, Miss Doodle? Oh, Miss PJ says she was been with a baby all day. Oh. Let's see. Oh, that's right. You have a new grandbaby? Is that right, Miss PJ? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm telling. Frank Master said he won lots of money at Oaklawn back in the day. My dad, I'm telling you, because back when we were kids, my mom and dad, and then their best friends, another couple, would go to Oaklawn every weekend during the racing season, and my dad could win some money. We would always have as kids, me and my brothers would always have very nice Christmases. thankfully. I mean, nothing very extravagant, but I mean, we would get some presents. Rocky's Corner. Frank Meister said Rocky's Corner was the best pizza parlor in Arkansas. It's right across the street from Oaklawn Park. I'm trying to think. I know it. I know the name of it. I'm trying to think if I ever ate there. I'm sure I did, probably at some time or another. Yep, Kiss. Yep. Okay, Mustang says Vincent Oni Madden is the gangster she was thinking of. Yes, I know that name. So I have a hard time believing that. Maybe just a little bit, Miss Doodle. There's our friend Junior. How you doing, my friend? He is in Michigan tonight. I hope you're doing well. Always good to see Mr. Junior. Yes, oh my goodness, 5 weeks old. Betty's adorable, adorable. Mustang says she's behaving too. Chris is not behaving. You not behaving, Chris? See, and I find it hard to believe that Chris wouldn't be behaving. Miss PJ says nobody's grounded yet. You talking about Reba? Frank Master says I met McIntyre there because she had a horse in one of the races that was called Red McFly. Wow. Cool. Reba. Yeah, Reba. I love Reba. Love Reba. All right. I think I'm caught up for now, so we will get started. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I love it. Love having all you guys here, just kind of chilling, hanging out, sharing some true crime news. Junior says he always behaves. I can see that because you go to bed early, Junior. You go to bed early. Anybody who goes to bed as early as Junior does has to behave. Uh-oh. Miss Doodles says flu has hit the house, but so far I'm good. The boy, his fever has been unreal. Oh, that's scary when kids have a fever. Absolutely. Thoughts, prayers, and good vibes to you and the boy, as you call him. Oh goodness. Yep. Love seeing everyone. Yep. This picture says praying for all in your house to get better. All right. Okay, so I am caught up. So before we get to the slideshow, we do have a missing. We've had a lot of, I think in the last 2 days here in Arkansas, I've gotten about two or three or four notifications of missing persons, mostly around the Little Rock area. Now, most of them, thankfully, have been located and are safe. But this lady, this is Brittany Clayton. She's 25 years old, white or black female. She's been missing since October 10th of this year. She's 5'4" tall, 230 pounds, black hair, black eyes, or excuse me, yeah, black hair, brown eyes. And I do have an article with a little bit more. Her car was found, which is kind of scary. So it means either she left it there and left of her own accord, or something nefarious may have happened. But this is from THV11.com, which is one of our local news outlets here. A search underway for a missing woman whose car was found in North Little Rock. Search is now, and this article is from the 16th, so a couple of days ago. A search is now underway for a missing woman whose car was found in North Little Rock. According to reports, 25-year-old Brittany Clayton was last seen on October 10th, 2025. Once again, she is 5'4" tall, about 230 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Reports say that she spoke to her family during a phone call on Friday, but since then, no one has seen or heard from her. And reports also say that her family was under the impression that she was headed toward West Memphis, Arkansas, never made it there. And then they later found her car in the parking lot of the North Little Rock Target. So anyone with information regarding her whereabouts, any information you may have, no bit of information is too small, is urged to contact the North Little Rock Police Department at 501-758-1234. So once again, that is a Brittany Clayton, just 25 years old, and it worries me about the car. Like I said, it could be just my opinion. For whatever reason or another, she wanted to get away for something, but if they said her family thought she or was under the impression that she was heading to West Memphis, but then they found the car in North Little Rock. So did she leave the car there and hitch a ride with somebody else? Did something happen? So hopefully we will have the best possible outcome, and obviously we'll keep an eye on the story and bring you any updates if there are any. And I will put this poster once we get done here tonight. I will post it on Facebook, or I think I've already shared it on Facebook. If not, I'll share it on Facebook and on my community tab here on YouTube. I almost said Walmart for some reason. Got Walmart on the brain. All right. So I think I had one more that I do not have a slide for. Let me go to the right tab. Just some updates. This horrible case out of Clayton County, Georgia. This poor little baby. So trigger warning. I've got the banner up, but trigger warning. Body of missing Clayton County baby found. Father has been charged with homicide. Clayton County investigators confirmed that they have recovered the body of the 6-month-old Nnakai Pratt in the same area where police had been searching for him. Officers sealed off parts of a Riverdale apartment complex on Valley Hill Road. They set up crime scene tape and privacy screens near a dumpster and a wooded area. So it is the location of where the baby's father, 38-year-old Antonio Pierce, claimed that his son was taken at gunpoint on Sunday. And I said when this, I think somebody maybe mentioned it, maybe in the Missing Person Monday live stream. This reminded me so much of the Emmanuel Harrow case where, it was the mom that said, somebody approached the van and hit me, whatever, took the baby. Just so anyway, little Nnakai's father claimed that he was taken at gunpoint on Sunday. Police say that Pierce's account contained inconsistencies and did not match physical evidence at the scene. Pierce appeared in court on Wednesday for an unrelated charge, but has since received additional charges of malice, homicide, cruelty to children, aggravated assault, aggravated robbery, concealing a death, tampering with evidence, and more, according to court records. He does have a prior criminal history due to a child cruelty case in court records of family violence. He is being held without bond. He was originally booked for charges on false statements, possession of marijuana, driving with a suspended or revoked license, and child restraint violation. So detectives first announced Tuesday that the search for the child had taken what they called a desperate turn, citing physical evidence that pointed to foul play. Apparently that was the end of the article. But anyway, so the baby has been found, not the way, obviously, that we wanted the baby to be found, and the father has apparently been charged with homicide. So we will, once again, most definitely keep up with this one for any developments. It's horrible. I just don't see anybody that can hurt a child is just beyond me. I don't understand. Do not understand. Let's check comments once again. Thank you very much. Says Brittany, the lady, Brittany C is in his prayers. Thank you. Thank you, Mustang. Just get caught up, make sure nobody snuck in on me. All right. Mark there. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. All right. So let me get the information, the article going. Get the right one. So this is one of those bittersweet. This is a Jane Doe that has been identified as Ruth Brenneman, who went missing. So the remains were discovered in 1973, and I do have an article from interviews with family. I think 10 years after she went missing, and then the Charlie Project, or not Charlie Project, excuse me, the NCMEC did the sketch of the remains that were found. So Ruth has been identified, or Jane Doe has been identified as Ruth Brenneman. Absolutely. Doodle says this is a beautiful community. Yes, I love our community. We have a wonderful community. All right, so first, so this is kind of the backstory or the basic story. Why? Okay, get all the ads out of the way. So this first one is from USA Today, and it was from November of 2024, when the remains were originally identified. Pennsylvania officials have identified remains found in 1973 as those of a missing schoolgirl. This was announced at a news conference at the time. 2 Lebanon County game wardens found the girl's remains on October 10th, 1973, in a wooded area in Lebanon County, according to PSP Tips, which is part of the Pennsylvania State Police Department. The remains later found to belong to missing 14-year-old Ruth Elizabeth Brenneman. So they were found under a plastic tarp. Once again, trigger warning. They had already begun decomposing when they were found in 1973. The manner of death was ruled undetermined, according to State Police Sergeant Josh Lacey. When local media pressed Lacey for more information, he said there was a level of suspicion surrounding her death. Well, yeah, I mean, if they were found under a plastic tarp, kind of suspicious. So he went on to say it was an unequivocal death, meaning, so unequivocal death, somebody might have to remind me what that means. I know I've heard Mr. Steve talk about it. No, it was an equivocal death. So does that mean that there's nobody there when somebody will have to remind me? I don't want to get anything wrong. So he said it was an equivocal death. Okay, meaning there was some level of suspicion to it, given the fact that she was found underneath the tarp and some brush. So investigators spent the past few decades trying to identify the remains. Facial reconstructions were made to help identify the girl. One bust was made through forensic analysis. The other was a 3D representation made with NCMEC. No, I don't want to. Hold on. Things are popping up. Sorry. All authorities knew was that she was a white female with long brown or blonde hair. She may have been between 5'3" to 5'6", with a thin to average build. Authorities exhumed her body in May of 2016 from the Mount Lebanon Cemetery. This is according to state police. Dr. Rick Snow, who works as a consultant for NCMEC, helped remove the girl's remains. The remains were then taken to a hospital for examination. And who was Lacey? So Lacey said, with the assistance from Astria Labs and the Pennsylvania State Police Bureau of Criminal Investigation, a positive ID was made in October of 2024. This young female will no longer be known as Jane Doe, so she's getting her name back, or got her name back. She will be known by her given name, Ruth Elizabeth Brenneman. So Trooper Ian Keck, who was the lead lead investigator on the case said it was a combination of factors that led to identifying the remains. He says it was good old genealogy research, going out, interviewing family, looking through old articles, public records of articles in newspapers, as well as court documents. Brenneman was 14 when she went missing. She was born on November 26, 1958. She was known for her long blonde hair. She was last seen at the beginning of the 1973 school year. She left for school. She never returned home. She was from York County, which is about 47 miles from where she was found. Authorities did not answer questions about whether she made it to school the day that she went missing or what school that she attended, but they said they are still trying to learn more about her. Her family did prepare a statement that Lacey read at the news conference. It says, quote, "The family wishes to extend our gratitude to Trooper Ian Keck and others on the Pennsylvania State Police team to identify Ruthie. Their work has provided us with some closure on questions that have lingered for the past 51 years. So 51 years. Police said a $5,000 reward has been offered for information that solves Ruth's case. They asked that any person with information contact the PSP Reading Station at 610-378-4454. The PSP tips at 800-472-8477, or you can email psptipsemail@gmail.com. So there's just a little backstory or background information, I should say. So the other article I had was actually the first one that I found, or that popped up in my Google feed, that made me aware of this case, or this information. And this is from the I keep wanting to say Charlie Project, NCMEC blog section. It is from this month, October 2025. It says her name was only the beginning, seeking justice for Ruth Brenneman. So the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, or NCMEC, is assisting in the identification of more than 600 deceased children whose names are still unknown. That just breaks my heart. There's so many out there that are just don't have their names back. They say it's meticulous, often heartbreaking work, but it's not without breakthroughs. Over the years, NCMEC has helped identify more than 400 children. It's amazing. Carol Schweitzer, who is program manager of NCMEC's Forensic Services Division, says when a family finally gets when a child finally gets their name back, it's an indescribable feeling. It means that after sometimes years or decades of wondering who they were, we can finally call them by name. It's a powerful reminder of why this work matters, but we know for law enforcement, once that name is known, the search for answers is often just the beginning. So that was the case for a young woman whose remains were discovered in 1973 on a military base in Union Township, Pennsylvania. For 51 years, her identity remained a mystery until 2024, when Lebanon County Jane Doe, as she was known as, was finally identified as 14-year-old Ruth Brenneman, a missing teenager from York, Pennsylvania. So now, as the Pennsylvania State Police are piecing together Ruth's story and the final days of her life, they are asking the public for any information that could help solve the case. Corporal Ian Keck, who is working the case, says when unidentified human remains are found, there's only so much that can take place within an investigation. We take as much as we can from that scene and gather all the evidence. Without knowing the identity, it kind of slows us down. But thankfully, that all changed in recent years with the help of forensic genealogy. And Miss Lisa Joe's still in here. She knows all about that. which got investigators close to an answer. It led Keck and his colleagues, PSP Trooper Jeff Bainey, to the door of Michael Brenneman. So Corporal Keck says, immediately after I gave Mr. Brenneman the story, he just came out and said, I have a sister missing from the 1970s. And Keck says that it was just a very surreal moment. So I can't imagine. So Michael says his family assumed that Ruth had simply run away with her boyfriend and would return when she was ready. At the time, missing teenagers were often dismissed as runaways. Sadly, that's still the case a lot of times today. They were not seen as potential victims, but Ruth's story is far more complicated. So after her parents' divorce, Ruth went first to live with her father, but eventually moved in with Michael and his then wife. So at the time, Michael was 20 years old. He was working second shift. He was juggling adult responsibilities. Excuse me. And the last time Michael saw Ruth, he actually dropped her off at school in the fall of 1973 and watched her walk up the steps. So in the other article, I think police said they either didn't know or didn't release the information of whether she actually made it to school, but apparently according to Michael, he did take her to school. He watched her walk up the steps. Now, whether or not she went inside, we don't know. But she did at least make it to the school up the steps. And she never came home, unfortunately. 5 decades later, we now know that Ruth passed away shortly after she was last seen, and her remains were found in a remote area on a military base. I find that very interesting. Nearly 50 miles from where she disappeared from, or from the school. Her manner of death was ruled undetermined. Michael says Ruth did suffer from epilepsy, which required daily medication. He recalls that she always wore sunglasses when she was outside because the reflection of light could trigger a seizure. Michael fears that without her medication, Ruth may have experienced a seizure, gone into a coma, and passed away. But if that's what happened, why was her body found weeks later and so many miles from where she was last seen? So it was basically what I say, about nearly 50 miles away, and covered with a tarp. Corporal Keck says there are still many unanswered questions. We're talking about the people who were involved in Ruth's life 5 decades ago. They unfortunately may not be here with us today. So anyone who knew Ruth, interacted with her in 1973, anybody who's heard stories about her disappearance is urged to come forward, or encouraged to come forward. Corporal Keck says this is still an active investigation. We're just looking for for anyone's help. Ruth was just 14 years old. She is someone's daughter. She is someone's sister, and they deserve to have some answers. Absolutely. So once again, anyone with information about Ruth is asked to contact the Pennsylvania State Police Troop L, Jonestown, at 717-865-2194, or PSP Tips at 1-800-4PA-TIPS, which is 1-800-472-8477. Tips can also be submitted anonymously through PSP Tips email at gmail.com. They can be submitted through facebook.com at PSP Tips, or on x.com, PSP_tips. So hopefully somebody, if they have any information, will come forward. Because to me, I can understand if, her being epileptic and she might have had a seizure. She didn't have her medication. But that doesn't explain how did she end up so far, 50 miles away, on a remote area of a military base under a tarp. Bunches of red flags for me. But please, I'm sure you guys have have your own opinions. So let's see. Thank you, Miss Doodle and Miss PJ for getting in everybody's links. Okay, Doodle says there's a Kentucky mom and handicapped daughter that traveled to Missouri not far from me that are missing, but not much info. What are the names? Just put the names in and I will definitely look them up. Except they found the car they lived in and they are gone. So they were living in the car, they found the car, but they weren't in the car. You're fine, Miss PJ. I don't mind at all giving credit and sharing sorry, I almost kicked myself out of the studio. Sharing these other wonderful, awesome creators that I appreciate so much. I love them so much. Have great channels, have great content. They're here for the right reasons. Come in here to support me. Absolutely do not mind you. Yeah, Doodle says she likes spam. Absolutely do not mind at all. Putting in those links, sharing those links. What are y'all talking about eating? What? Something eaten fried? Are you talking about spam? Now we got into this discussion last time. Spam. I like spam. Every once in a while. I haven't had it in forever. Junior said, "What do you get? Are you saying is Junior? Are you saying you have to be a hillbilly to eat spam? Really?" I'm kidding, Junior. Or you could have some good old fried bologna sandwiches. Yep, deer season. Yep, it's about that time. Doodle said deer season is in 2 weeks, so I may be maybe. I swear, Lord, I swear, y'all, I have not been drinking anything, but I'm drinking Sprite right now. I drank a Coke earlier. I've been drinking water. I drank a little bit of tea. I swear I've not been drinking any alcohol, but I can't talk. Anyway. Yep, I have eaten some potted meat in my day. See, that was my question. GP says, how does that happen on a military base? They have cameras all over them. I know. Yep, it said it was on a. So I mean, I don't know about the semantics, but they said it was found on a remote area or on a remote military base. Now I don't know, did I find it actually inside the perimeter of the military base or just like maybe right outside of it? I mean, sometimes the way things are worded, but at any rate, it is very strange. 50 miles away, covered in tarp. In my opinion, that's not an accident. I mean, just my opinion. Yep. At least she got her name back. So hopefully, like I said, hopefully somebody will come forward. And if they have any information. And there's my friend Josh. Our friend Josh. Hey, Josh. Good to see you. Good to see you. And I don't know how much Josh wants me to divulge, but be looking in the near future. Me and Josh are working on some things. But good to see Josh. Please check out Josh at Where Lavender Grows is his channel. Good to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Just getting caught up. Yeah, Miss PJ's always starting the spam convo. Oh, that's all right. That's all right. PJ says you would be surprised the things that can happen. Absolutely. That's exactly. GP says, who would take the time to put a tarp over her? That seems a little odd. I know. To me, that's not an accident. I don't think a tarp even if, sorry, my microphone got stuck. Even if, okay, just let's play devil's advocate for a minute. Go with the scenario that she did run away. Her and her boyfriend, somehow they made it with a car, without a car, walking, hitchhiking, 50 miles away. She did, she didn't have her medication. She did have a seizure, passed away from it. The boyfriend panicked, took her in the woods, found a tarp, covered her with a tarp. I'm not really going with that scenario, but I mean, we have to look at, or is it more likely that, in your opinion, please give me your opinion, or is it more likely that something nefarious did happen, unfortunately? And so they said the cause of death, undetermined. So finding remains after what, 50 over 50 years, unless there's some kind of, if it was like a stabbing or even a bullet, if you find nicks in the bones or things of that nature, just from my limited understanding of how things work, might be able to kind of give a cause of death. But other than that, I don't know. Anyway, I know I'm probably babbling and not making a whole lot of sense, but as usual. Anyway, yes, Josh is awesome. He did a really excellent live stream. The last one he did almost a week, this past Sunday night on what was her name, Veronica Miller. Excellent. I actually got to make the live. I was there in the chat, along with, I think Mustang was there and some other people. So please, if you weren't there, please be replay crew and watch it. Excellent information, excellent presentation, just excellent show, excellent job all the way around by Josh. Okay, so Doodle says Deanna Messenger is the name. Okay, let me look it up right quick. And it's from Kentucky. Let me look it up. Oh, if I can spell once again. Maybe if I put Kentucky. So there's an article, search continues for Kentucky mom and an adult daughter after last being seen in Fenton. Would that be the one, possibly Miss Doodle? Let me get the article here. If I can get it to move. The search continues for a missing mother and her adult daughter with developmental disabilities who disappeared weeks ago after their SUV was found abandoned in Fenton, Missouri. Is that it, Miss Doodle? You are very welcome, sir. It's okay, Miss PJ. Josh says he was late, so he is not caught up with the context of Ruth's case. She went missing in the early 70s. Her remains were found. She was known as Lebanon County Jane Doe. Then the remains were discovered in 1973 on a military base in Union Township, Pennsylvania, which is about 50 miles from where she disappeared. 51 years, she went unidentified. 2024, she was finally identified as 14-year-old Ruth Brenneman, a missing teenager from York, Pennsylvania. So now they just have to find out hopefully how she died, what happened, how she ended up 50 miles away in a remote area of a military base covered with a tarp. So that's the basics of it. Veronica Taylor. Veronica Taylor. You are most deserving. Thank you. You're very welcome. So that's it. Okay. I will bring up the, thank you very much. Josh put in, there's a link to his channel. Okay. So let me see. Let me take this down right quick and see if I can screen share. This article, because it does have pictures. It might take a minute for it to come up on the screen. There it is. Let me change the to that way, make it a little bit bigger. Go back down to the so search continues for missing Kentucky mom and adult daughter after last being seen in Fenton. Get rid of the ads. Assuming that's a video, but it's a picture. I'm hoping they have some more pictures. I'll look at some pictures. The search continued for a missing mother and her adult daughter with developmental disabilities who disappeared weeks ago after their SUV was found abandoned in Fenton, Missouri. Family members have expressed growing concern for their safety. Deanna Messenger, 59, and her 20-year-old daughter, Susan Messenger, who has developmental disabilities, were reported missing from Vienna, Illinois. And their vehicle was later located in Fenton, which is about 2.5 hours from Vienna. Sarah Davidson, who is Deanna's daughter and Susan's sister, expressed her worry. She says, I don't know what I will ever do if anything happened to them. Davidson said her mother, who suffers from mental health problems, dementia, and paranoia, and her sister left their home in Paducah, Kentucky in May without informing anyone. Davidson says she did reach out to me about 2 days later, told me she had left and was not coming back. And that was the last time I saw or even heard from her. The family later learned the two were living out of their Ford Explorer at various state parks. They surfaced in Vienna, Illinois on September 9th when Deanna experienced a mental health crisis and was taken to a mental health facility by police. Davidson says they were released, and according to my knowledge, they were supposed to go back for a follow-up appointment, and they never did. The Johnson County, Illinois Sheriff's Office subsequently issued a missing persons alert. The next sign of the mother and daughter came on September 15th when a license plate camera detected their vehicle in Arnold, Missouri. 5 days later, a St. Louis County police officer made contact with them at Wally's. I'm assuming is that maybe a convenience store, some kind of store in Fenton. A police spokesperson said the messengers did not appear to be in distress. They answered all crisis intervention team questions appropriately. Davidson said Johnson County authorities told the family that a St. Louis County officer had conveyed that the mother was exhibiting signs of paranoia, but not to the level to prompt an involuntary hospitalization. Only days after that encounter, the mother and daughter were seen again in Fenton. An employee at a Krispy Kreme location observed the mother and daughter park their SUV and sit down in a grassy area to eat. The women then walked away from the vehicle toward a neighboring quick trip store and never returned. So Davidson says, when my dad told me that their car was found empty, my heart dropped. The SUV, which the mother and daughter had lived out of for months, was eventually towed after sitting abandoned for 3 weeks. The women have not been seen since. Davidson posted about their disappearance on a Fenton community Facebook page, highlighting the family's distress. She said, just the possibility and the not knowing something bad could have happened to them. It frustrates me on a deep level. Just, I can't imagine. Davidson and her family are urging the public to remain vigilant and to contact police immediately if they see Deanna or Susan, a messenger. Best bet would be to call 911. So that is that, and I will put the link to that article in the chat. I hit the right button. There we go. It should show up in chat. Just very scary, very scary. Thank you, Doodle, for get caught up here. Let's see. Hey, Abby Frank, good to see you. Good to see you, Gibbo. Welcome, welcome. Let's see. Okay, Ms. Doodle says, yes, Wally's is a gas and food station. I hung flyers and asked around, but nobody can remember seeing them. Okay. Doodle says, I checked homeless shelters and hospitals and got nowhere. Oh, man. Josh says he'll be right back. He'll be right back. He has computer problems. I can relate to that. And there's a link to that article. You are very welcome, Miss Doodle. Absolutely. Doodle says, I'm concerned because they found a body in the river about 30 minutes from there. Yeah, that's scary. So I will, I know Miss Doodle will definitely stay on top of it because she's there doing boots on the ground, doing the good work. I will keep an eye on it too, absolutely. And Doodle, I know, will absolutely let us know if there any other information or any developments. Anything new comes up. All right. Right, so let me stop sharing that and put that back up there. Okay. All right, so we did Ruth. All right, so what do we have next? Okay, so this is an update. This is regarding Chance Englebert. I did do a video on him and probably talked about him in one or more live streams. But there have been some possible, hasn't been confirmed by law enforcement yet, but signs are, yes, heartbreaking. Signs are not looking good. So I think I have actually 2 articles. The first one just kind of the first one is from people.com, and this is when the remains were initially found. It's from the 14th of this month. Human remains found near a national park site, possibly linked to man who disappeared in 2019. The family of a Wyoming man who had been missing since 2019 said that authorities did contact them after unidentified human remains were discovered in Nebraska last weekend. In a Saturday, October 11th, Facebook post shared on the Help Find Chance Englebert group page. Now, let me forget, after I read this, I'll try to copy it, paste it, and put it in the chat. Chance's family confirmed their conversation with law enforcement. This was reported by numerous news outlets. They emphasized, however, that there has been no formal evidence that the remains definitely belong to their loved ones. I think that has changed. Early this morning, in the family statement says, early this morning, our family was contacted by law enforcement officials in Scottsbluff County, which is in Nebraska. We were informed of a discovery that may be related to the disappearance of Chance. At this critical juncture, we need to emphasize that there is no positive identification or additional evidence to confirm that the individual is Chance. So Chance was 25 when he went missing in July of 2019. At the time, he was visiting the family of his wife with the couple's infant son in Gering, Nebraska. During that visit, an argument reportedly occurred, after which Chance wanted to return home to Moorcraft, Wyoming. He then contacted a friend named Matt, who lived in Gillette, Wyoming, to come pick him up. In a 2022 interview with News Nation, Matt recalled telling Chance to wait. Matt says he got in a fight with his in-laws. He was wanting to come back to Wyoming, to his house here in Moorcroft, and needed a ride home immediately. He added he sounded upset. He wanted to get the heck out of Nebraska. So Chance was seen in surveillance video walking through Gering in the early evening. His phone went dark after he sent a text message to his aunt with a grumpy face emoji and just some jumbled letters that didn't really make any sense. The following morning, Chance's wife called police to report him missing. After that, there was no trace of him in the years since he disappeared, despite the use of drones, canines, volunteers, numerous searches. On Friday, October 10th, an individual notified authorities in Nebraska that they had discovered what were possibly human remains near the north side of National Park Service site, Scottsbluff National Monument. This is according to Gering Police Captain Jason Rogers. The scene was secured and authorities returned to the area the following day. Ryan Couch, a former volunteer, a private investigator who had been working with Chance's family on the case, told Cowboy State Daily that the remains were located 3 to 5 miles from where Chance was last seen walking alone, as captured in the surveillance footage. Rogers added that it will take time, obviously, for the remains to be identified and for the cause of death to be determined. In a Thursday, October 16th news release shared with People, the Scottsbluff County Attorney's Office said that the Gering Police Department, and other agencies are still investigating the remains that were found last week. A statement reads, during the searches, several items were located that family identified as belonging to Chance when he went missing on July 6th. So that was the developments that came out within the last couple of days. The investigation into his disappearance has been active and ongoing since it was originally reported. The Douglas County Coroner's Office in Omaha is assisting to facilitate the forensic examination of dental records, DNA samples, and other scientific examinations of the skeletal remains. That examination will include a forensic pathologist and scientist from the University of Nebraska, Omaha. The county attorney's office also said that the examination is expected to take place soon, adding that the remains cannot be positively identified until the office receives confirmation through the examination. The local investigation is still active and ongoing, with multiple local and federal agencies participating. Meanwhile, the Chance's family's recent Facebook post further stated, quote, we ask the entire Chance's Army community for your patience and respect during this time. Please allow law enforcement to conduct their thorough investigation. Our family is waiting for official confirmation and further information from the authorities. They also added, we ask for your prayers as we wait, hoping that this discovery brings closure, whether for our family or for another family searching for their missing loved one. So, and I'm thinking this other article, it was, let me find it. They did find some articles, some items that the family did positively identify. These items are found close to the remains that the family has identified as belonging to Chance. So this article is from News Nation from the 17th of this month. So let me see if it has anything different than the other one. A new update has been made in the case of longtime missing Walmy man Chance Englebert. He was last seen on a surveillance video walking through Gering about an hour before storm hit the area. In a statement issued Thursday, the Scottsbluff County Attorney discussed skeletal remains found at Scottsbluff National Monument west of Gehrig. Stop it. The statement says several items were located that family identified as belonging to Chance when he went missing on July 6, 2019. So the investigation into his disappearance has been active and ongoing. So this is basically the same information. The examination is expected to take place in the near future, but a date has not been set. Authorities were clear that no identity could be positively identified until completion of the forensic examination. So just thoughts and prayers going out to Chance's family. But just from the sounds of it, once again, not official as of yet, but it does sound like it possibly could be his remains. So just I say sad, but bittersweet, as Miss Barb would say. Obviously not the way that we want a missing person to be found, but at least if it is Chance, his family will be able to get him back and lay him to rest properly, have him home. So we will keep an eye on this, obviously, once again. But very, very sad. I remember when he went missing, or when I first came across his case and did the video on him, talked about him in live streams, as others did, obviously. So well, I don't know about that. GP says, so in my opinion, the in-laws probably got rid of him. I don't know. Which, anything is possible, obviously. But I mean, when he was seen walk. Now there was because he was caught on surveillance. If I remember, I'm trying to get my mental sticky notes about this case back up. I think they did mention that in this, he had stopped at a gas station. He was walking, stopped at a gas station, maybe to get something to drink, and supposedly there was what they call kind of like a tense and kind of a tense encounter with another customer that was in there. And then he was seen walking out of the store, maybe around it, beside it. He was on the phone, maybe, and then there was something else. You guys can refresh my memory. Anybody else who's familiar with this, that so he was seen, captured, walking down a road. I can't remember what the road was. Looking like he was using like a GPS map on his phone to see where, see where to go. And that something about there was two girls that were screaming in the middle of the road around the same place, the same time as where he would have been walking. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I don't know. I'm leaning, just my opinion, I lean more towards there was a storm that night, very heavy rain. And if I remember correctly, where he was walking out, there was some kind of river or creek that would have probably flooded during this rain. Totally possible that he could have fallen into this creek or river or whatever it was, and unfortunately drowned. And so I don't know. Like I said, we'll just have to wait and see. But just from the information that I can bring, remember right now. That's just my opinion. Doodlebest says, wait, is Frank Gibbo? I don't know. I'll be Frank says it. His ad is like Gibbo Frank, and people call him Gibbo sometimes. So I don't know. Anyway. He says that's private. Who is Aurora? What are y'all talking about? Oh goodness. Oh, Junior never liked Kiss. I said, Junior, we can't be friends anymore. No, I'm kidding. I like Kiss. They're, like I said, they're one of my favorite all-time bands. They're up there. My favorites, some of my favorites. But I like all kinds of music. My go-to, my very favorite is, classic rock, hard rock, 80s, 90s, hair bands, grunge. But I listen to some country. I listen to some oldies. I listen to some Motown. I listen to just about anything at least once. If I like it, I listen to it twice. Let's see. Get caught up. This is true. GP says there are some very mental and strange people out there in this absolutely crazy world. Unfortunately, you are correct. Not that we know of, Miss Paula, as far as persons of interest. Like I said, the only thing they really said that might, could be something, could be nothing, was that there's supposedly some kind of, maybe a little bit of a intense or tense encounter with another customer, and Chance at this gas station or whatever he was caught on surveillance in. And then, I don't know, something about two girls were in the road screaming about something, and the way they figured out the timeline that Chance would have been walking in that area at about that same time. Now, who knows if that has anything to do with Chance? Could have nothing to do with it, but oh, Mustang doesn't like Kiss either. No, that's okay. Says the makeup did not match the music, is why I don't like Kiss. That and Gene Simmons' attitude. Yeah, Gene Simmons does have an attitude. Makes it hard to listen to the music. Yeah, Gene's a little, okay, a lot arrogant, ego. But you could probably say, yeah, him and Paul. Which I like Paul Stanley better than Gene Simmons, but anyway, yeah, and they went and because we were talking about earlier about Ace Frehley passing away, who was the original guitarist, and Kiss did go through a lot of guitarists, so apparently there were some personality clashes or something there too, because a lot of guitarists are known for their big personalities too. Let's just put it that way. I've listened to some Freddie Fender. Doodle says my dad loved Freddie Fender, me not so much. Oh, well, I'm trying to think of that one song, some name of his songs. Yep, see, I love those too. Junior says there are so many other good bands at the time. Led Zeppelin, another one of my favorites. Pink Floyd, another one of my favorites. And Echo's favorite band, Pink Floyd. The Stones, absolutely, and many more I like better. Yep. Yeah, best thing says egos are bigger than their platform boots. Yeah, that was just for, the costumes and the makeup were just for, the shock value, but I did enjoy their music. And I did actually get to see them. I saw them on the reunion tour in 1996 when all four original members got back together and they put the makeup back on. And then I did see them before they put the makeup back on. I think it was in the 90s, in the Hot in the Shade tour. I saw them then. Both excellent shows, especially the reunion show with all the 4 original members. Yes, that is where'd it go? Where'd it go? There it is. That is why is it coming up? There it is. That is a question that we probably do not want to know the answer to. Oh, yep. Yep. Josh likes Pink Floyd, absolutely. Yep. Echoes, who pops in, my brother, my actual brother. Pink Floyd is his band. Yeah, I have to agree. Mustang says Gene should have left the makeup on. I agree. I agree. I agree. I was never really a big Gene Simmons fan. I was more of a Paul Stanley fan and a Peter Criss fan. And Ace, of course. But anyway, okay, so that was Chance. So we'll definitely keep an eye on oh, Josh says he is back and now behind as ever. That's okay, Josh. You'll catch up. You'll catch up. All right, let's see what we have next. All right, so this is our Crime Stoppers unsolved homicide that I wanted to share with you guys. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Let me find the information. All right, so this comes from Crime Stoppers Metro for Alabama. So this is DeAnthony Dejuan Jones. The Birmingham Police Department is conducting a homicide investigation concerning the death of DeAnthony in the early morning hours on August 20th of 2024. DeAnthony was sitting in the passenger seat of a car in the 2100 block of Avenue, either I or L, in Inslee when someone fired several shots into the car. Anthony was struck and later pronounced deceased, unfortunately, at University of or UAB hospital. So if you have any information, contact the Crime Stoppers of Metro Alabama. You may remain anonymous, and if your tips lead to an arrest, you could receive a cash reward of up to $5,000. And it does not give the number. Call 911. It should have resource center. Let's see if it's there. No. Oh, contact us. Duh. Maybe that's where all the information is. So calls are received at the local Crime Stoppers tip line at 205-254-7777. You can also submit a tip to this P3 Tips app, which I still have not figured out what the P3 Tips app is. But at any rate, so I do have another article interview with the family members. Always so sad. So this article is from, get the ads out of the way, August of this year, 2025. It's the worst thing. Family of Birmingham man shot in car still waiting for answers 1 year later. So it says, while homicides are down in Birmingham this year, dozens of families are still grieving loved ones lost to firearm violence in years past. Wednesday, August 20th, marked 1 year since 22-year-old DeAnthony Jones was killed in Inslee. His family visited the Highland Memorial Gardens Cemetery to pay tribute to their brother and son, whom they have not forgotten. Rapunza Jones, who is DeAnthony's mother, says 365 days of no texts, no calls, no smiles, no hugs, no, hey mama, how you doing? It is the worst thing that could ever happen to anybody. Absolutely. Despite the rain, paper lanterns lifted into the sky for DeAnthony. DeAnthony was a former drum major at Bessemer City High School and a band member at Alabama State University with dreams of becoming a Birmingham firefighter. His mom says, I want them to remember him for who he was. Sorry. For who he was for who he was, a person with a big heart. He was very giving and loving. However, his dreams were cut short 1 year ago. Birmingham police say Jones was sitting in a car at around 1 a.m. along Avenue L or I in Inslee when someone shot and killed him. He was the passenger, and his friend was behind the wheel. His mother is begging the community to speak up. It has been devastating for her and for his younger sister, who are sisters who are now in therapy. His mom tells WBRC justice for D'Anthony could also mean protection for other families. She says, if it were your family, you would want somebody to speak up. The offender may still be out there. He may be behind bars, but at the same time, I still want to know who it is. The mother said that she does understand there are other cases, but said that she wishes Birmingham police were more responsive. WBRC reached out to Birmingham PD for an update. They are waiting to hear back as of the writing of this article. Crime Stoppers confirmed they are offering a $5,000 reward for the case. So just absolutely heartbreaking. So I will put a link to the Crime Stoppers information on my my community page. That's what I was trying to say. Just absolutely devastating, heartbreaking. Get down in your comments. I'll be Frank says, I knew someone that used to put Pink Floyd on full blast when he was drunk and pass out. We could hear him up the street. Well, there could be worse, in my opinion. There could be worse bands to be blasting. Oh goodness. Who was your first concert? GP said they were my first concert. Who was your first concert? Pink Floyd? Or are you talking about Kiss? He said up close and wow, the makeup. Yeah. Oh God, that is so true. Mustang says in Arkansas, the drunks like to blast Freebird in Sweet Home Alabama. I guess they are too drunk to remember they are in Arkansas. True, unfortunately. I got to see Ozzy one time, thankfully. I think it was during the No More Tears tour when the No More Tears album came out. Another great, in my opinion, one of my favorites that we just lost. Yes, there are rednecks everywhere. You are absolutely correct. Junior says he never liked Ozzy either. Well, who do you like, Junior? I'm kidding. Let's see. Josh says Pink Floyd is my drinking go-to. Yeah, Josh says mostly these days just drinking tea and going to bed. That sounds like me. Okay, so that was D'Anthony. All right, next we have so I've been wanting to talk about this case for a while. We could do a whole live stream just of this case. I don't know if Miss Lisa Jo is here, but this is one of her cases that she is very interested in, because it does involve Royal Russell Long, another very fine fellow. Note the sarcasm. But let me get her. Oh shoot! Sorry, went to the wrong tab. Get her Charlie Project information up. So this is Sharon BaldEagle. So she went missing on September 18th, 1984 from Eagle Butte, South Dakota. This is a non-family, or classified as a non-family abduction. She is a Native American female. She was just 12 years old. She will be 53 as of 2025, and that age progression on the right hand, I believe, is to 36. At the time she went missing, she was 5'3", 110 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. Some agencies give Sharon's last name as BaldEagle. Her ears are pierced. At the time of her disappearance, she had streaks of light color in her hair above her ears. She was last known to be wearing a black and yellow top with a tiger stripe pattern, black shoes, and carrying a red bag. So Sharon ran away from her hometown of Eagle Butte, South Dakota on September 18th, 1984, along with a 15-year-old friend named Sandy. The girls were hitchhiking together in Casper, Wyoming, when they were picked up by a truck driver named Royal Russell Long. And we will get into Mr. Long here in a minute. So Long took the two girls, so trigger warning once again for this. Long took the two girls to his home in Evansville, Wyoming. He fed them. Sandy, the friend, stated that he then offered them $100 for services, if you know what I mean. When the girls refused, he tied them up at gunpoint. He beat Sharon. He essayed Sandy. Sandy did manage to escape and went for help, but by the time police arrived at the residence, Long and Sharon were gone. So a week later, Long was apprehended in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Sharon was not with him. He said that he did not know where she was. When asked for his side of the story, Long said that Sharon and Sandy had told them that they were 18 and 19, and that Sandy agreed to have relations with him for $100. So supposedly after this took place, Long claimed Sandy demanded $200 from him and threatened to accuse him of SA if he did not give her the money. She told him that she and Sharon, hold on, lost my place. She and Sharon told him they were actually only 15 and 12 years old. Long said there was a struggle, although he did not hit the girls. He said his nose was bloodied. He threatened them with a firearm and tied them up. He said he then took a nap, and when he woke up, he discovered Sandy had escaped. He carried Sharon out to his truck, drove her to Cheyenne, then put her on a light-colored truck, I'm assuming a semi, but I don't know, which was bound for Dallas, Texas. And he said this was the last time he ever saw her. He said he did not realize he was wanted for kidnapping and SA until he went back to Casper. So according to Long, after realizing that the police were looking for him, he drove to Amarillo, Texas. He tried to find Sharon or anyone who might have seen her. Authorities were unable to find anything to support his story. Surprise, surprise. They could not identify the truck driver that Sharon supposedly got a ride to Dallas with, or find anyone who had seen this truck driver or the truck. So prosecutors considered charging Long with Sharon's homicide or suspected homicide, but they decided against it. Sharon's father stated he believed that Sharon was alive. Long pleaded guilty to 2 counts of kidnapping for the purpose of committing indecent liberties with a minor, and he was sentenced to 2 life terms in prison. So Mr. Long is also a suspect in the disappearance of Deborah Meyer and Carlene Brown, who vanished from Wyoming in 1974. He is the prime suspect in the disappearance of Cinda Pallett and Charlotte Kinsey, who vanished from the Oklahoma State Fairgrounds in Oklahoma City on September 26, 1981. I think we have talked about all 4 of those cases. So he was charged with kidnapping and homicide of Cinda and Charlotte after his 1985 arrest, but those charges were dismissed for lack of evidence. He passed away of a heart attack in prison in 1993. Sharon's father went to visit him shortly before his death, but Long refused to speak to him. So if he had anything, once I'd say, allegedly, if he had anything to do with whatever happened to Sharon, he took it to his grave. So Sharon is the oldest of 4 siblings. She had just begun her first year at a Brainerd Indian School in Hot Springs, South Dakota, when she disappeared. Her father searched for her all over the country after her disappearance, traveling as far as Arizona. He unfortunately passed away in 2025. And in his obituary, Sharon is noted as having predeceased him in death. There were possible sightings of Sharon in Wisconsin and Colorado in the years following her disappearance. She has never been found. Foul play is suspected in her case. So if you have any information, you can call the Fall River County Sheriff's Office at 605-754-4444. And I do have another. So apparently, so this next article is from the Brookings Register. It is from March 2020. So apparently at some point there was some remains that were found that were either positive or not positively identified as Sharon's, and then they turned out not to be. So this article says for the past 35 years, Taylor BaldEagle has received letters and phone calls from strangers giving him tips and false hope about his daughter Sharon, who went missing in 1984 at the age of 12. That false hope went public and viral in January after a Wyoming website and podcast, plus a South Dakota newspaper. So I just find this so unprofessional and reprehensible. Said that human remains found in Sweetwater County, Wyoming might be Sharon. As the stories began spreading on social media, Taylor, an 84-year-old from Eagle Butte who does not use the internet, suddenly began receiving phone calls from friends and family members telling him about the news, asking if it was true, and sharing their condolences. Taylor remembers his son telling him on the phone, "I heard they found my sister." But law enforcement never contacted Taylor, and the Sweetwater County Sheriff's Office soon released a statement saying the bones are unlikely to be Sharon's. This isn't the first time people have speculated about finding Sharon. Taylor told the Rapid City Journal during a recent interview in Rapid City where he was visiting his grandchildren, but this is the first time that it went through Facebook and things like that, and it went viral. So that is just like when we were talking about Chance's case earlier, we're saying it's not been confirmed yet, not confirmed yet. We want to always make sure to emphasize that, not been confirmed yet, just for this reason, for cases like this. So Taylor, who is a Supreme Court Justice for the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe, who also assists Lakota speakers involved in tribal court cases across the state, says he wants people to remember his missing daughter and pass on any serious tips to law enforcement. but he also wants the public and the media to be sensitive and fact check when reporting and sharing information. Taylor says, I was hurt knowing that when that went viral and it was printed without me knowing it. To me, it's all hearsay unless I hear it in a confirmation from the FBI. Absolutely. So Sharon once again ran away from the now closed Brainerd Indian Training School in Hot Springs on September 18th, 1984, according to Journal Archives. She and a friend from Hot Springs made their way to Casper, Wyoming, where they hitched a ride from Royal Russell Long, but instead of taking them to their destination, Taylor said his daughter was probably trying to visit old classmates in Idaho. The 49-year-old took them to his home in nearby Evansville and went through everything that he did to them there. And then we talked about him passing, everything he was charged with, he passed away. So this incident began after County 10, an online media outlet covering Fremont County, Wyoming, published a January 10th article that cited an anonymous source connected with the neighboring Sweetwater County Sheriff's Office, who said officials found the remains of a teenage Native American girl near a power plant, and her bones had been there between 20 and 30 years. The article, which does not list an author, also quoted Scott Fuller, host of the Dead and Gone in Wyoming true crime podcast published by County 10, who said, quote, there's a remote possibility these remains might be Sharon's. The anonymous source is a volunteer cadaver dog trainer handler with the sheriff's office. Fuller said in his January 21st podcast episode. He said, generally speaking, this might be Sharon BaldEagle, but I'm being very careful with this not to get anybody's hopes up that this is specifically Sharon. So that's why you don't say stuff like that. It's just so irresponsible. So Fuller said he contacted Taylor to let him know about the find and how providing a DNA sample may help confirm if the bones are Sharon's. The Teton Times, a newspaper that serves the Cheyenne River and Standing Rock reservations, published an article also with no listed author based on County 10 and Fuller's reporting in its January 15th through the 22nd edition. 2 days after Fuller's episode aired, the Sweetwater County Sheriff's Office released a statement saying Fuller and County 10's source was wrong. The news release says, quote, it appears that the remains are that of a young female of either European or Native American descent and are more than likely not prehistoric in nature. The sheriff's office said the bones are being tested to confirm their age, but at this time, we do not have reason to believe that the located remains are those of Miss BaldEagle. Fuller published a follow-up podcast that same day to update listeners on the statement. He said the sheriff's office and other agencies were contacted before the article and podcast were published, but, quote, there was no objection to the information shared with them. He also said he contacted Taylor to share the update and apologized for providing him with any false hope. But Taylor told the Journal that Fuller never contacted him for the podcast episodes. Fuller confirmed that he was not able to find Taylor's contact information, so he got in touch with the South Dakota journalist and asked him to pass on the information to Taylor. Really? So Fuller told the Journal, quote, regardless of my original intentions, I feel terribly about the evolution of the situation. I meant to raise awareness of Sharon's disappearance in a positive and productive way, as I have while working directly with dozens of other families who are enduring similar uncertainty and tragedy. That Mr. BaldEagle has been caused distress by this is something I will forever regret. He has been an inspirational advocate for his daughter and for this issue of MMIP or MMIW in general. The The spokesman for the Sweetwater County Sheriff's Office told the Journal that County 10 did not contact his office before publishing the January 10th story. But the website's publisher told the Journal that staff left multiple messages with the sheriff's office over an 11-day period and never heard back from anyone. He said the website published the story since they trusted their source and since no one from the sheriff's office called back to say that their information was wrong. Fuller said he contacted Wyoming State detectives, but also never heard back from them. Taylor says, I don't even know what a podcast is. I stay away from electronic communication devices. Quit these troublemaking devices they use to let out false rumors and false hopes and tormenting a guy. They don't know how tough that is on a person. That is absolutely true. How many times have we seen it in cases? So Taylor goes on to say it hurts to even talk about it. When asked what it's like to live without knowing what happened to Sharon for more than 3 decades, he says, she's in my prayers every meal. She's traveling with me. I have her picture on the dashboard of my car, in my truck. She is with me. He said of the small faded photo of Sharon taped inside his vehicle. He says, I will never forget her. Taylor raised Sharon and her 3 younger brothers as a single father. Sharon attended schools in Eagle Butte and Idaho. She then briefly attended the Hot Springs School before running away. Taylor says she was the lady of the house and she was daddy's little girl. He says Sharon loved to sing. She loved to play the piano. She loved to do art projects, participate in powwows. She also helped take care of her younger brothers, and she was a talented chef. Christmas and Sharon's birthdays are especially difficult for Taylor, who is a Korean War veteran and cancer survivor. He has few photos of his time in the military or of Sharon and her brothers since a tornado destroyed his house when he was living in Oglala in the early 1990s. Taylor says he is aware of and happy about the MMIW movement's ability to raise awareness about new and old cases like Sharon's. He says, I went looking for my own self for Sharon when there was no MMIW movement and Amber Alert system. After learning his daughter was kidnapped and missing, Taylor immediately drove to Casper to meet with Sharon's friends and plead for Sharon's release on local TV and radio stations, according to Journal Archives. He then spent 2 months looking for her by driving or hitching rides, reaching as far as Arizona. Throughout the years, he has also spoken with media outlets, including the Journal in 2013 and West River Eagle, to raise awareness about his daughter. Taylor says he believes Sharon is still alive and being held against her will. He says he knows that they will be reunited someday. He said there is no word for goodbye in Lakota. Since goodbye is final, we say, I'm going to try not to butcher this, Toksa, which means later. We'll always meet later again, no matter what. So just feel so hard to read these family members, but it's just so important to always remember the family that, besides the victim, to remember the family behind the victim. And then just with this reporting with no concrete, just in my opinion, just so irresponsible. And just, we see it in so many cases, misinformation, false information, just for, clicks and views and whatever. But anyway, don't get me started. All right, let me get caught up in your comments right quick. Oh, first, we'll get caught up in comments, and then we'll get a little bit more into Mr. Long. Let me get a drink. Okay. Thank you, Frank. I'll be Frank says, okay, I can't keep my eyes open. See you guys around. Southern Girl, I'll catch the replay. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. And he said he shared. Thank you so much. Junior's also heading to bed. Got to get up at 6:30 a.m. Yes, Junior gets up with the chickens. Yes, Josh says that's awful, and I think I've seen Sharon's case before on a show or perhaps another creator. I remember the $200, absolutely hard. Yes. I've had Sharon's, I've done some research for a long time on Sharon's case, and like I said, I don't know if Lisa Joe is still here. Lisa Joe, this is one of Lisa Joe's baby cases, one of her babies. So yeah, it's just a horrible, horrible case. Yep, Josh says Amarillo way too much in truck driving related crimes. Absolutely. Yeah, it comes up way too much. Yeah. Or Amarillo comes up way too much in truck related crimes. Yep. This is a very sad case. And we might have to do a whole article or a whole live stream on this. Yep, see, GP can relate. GP says, my family has been drove through the dirt since my niece was the victim of a homicide. I'm so sorry to hear that, GP. By many people, social media, newspapers, etc. I know it just drives me crazy. Yep, GP says it's hard listening and reading crap about our loved ones. Yep. Far says she's still listening. She has stuff to do. That is absolutely fine. All right. So let me, I don't think I did a slide. No, I didn't do a slide for, let me find, I just have the Wikipedia information on Royal Russell Long. Oh no. Keep forgetting to go to the different tab. I'll see if it'll let me screen share. Give me 1 second. Oh, I gotta take, hold on. No. Hold on. I gotta take that down first. Now, share screen. I'll take it a minute to come up. There it is. Everything's working. I shouldn't say it. Fingers crossed. Everything's working particularly well tonight. Let me change layouts. There we go. Make it a little bit bigger. So Royal Russell Long, I don't think it has a picture. I had to find a picture. He was an American convicted kidnapper and suspected serial offender and serial assayer who was given 2 life sentences for abducting 2 girls. Is also a possible suspect in the disappearance and homicides of a number of young women and girls in Wyoming and Oklahoma, along with several other cases throughout Colorado and Missouri. So he was born on May 15th, 1935 in Brazil, Indiana. In 1974, he moved to Rawlins, Wyoming region, where he worked as a carny and part-time long-haul truck driver at local fairs and carnivals beginning in 1981. He was apprehended on September 26, 1994 in Albuquerque, New Mexico regarding the kidnapping of hitchhiker Sharon BaldEagle, who was in 12 in Eagle Butte, South Dakota on September 19, 1984, and her friend. BaldEagle was not with him when he was arrested. He pleaded guilty to 2 counts of kidnapping for the purpose of committing indecent liberties with a minor, sentenced to 2 life terms in prison. He passed away of a heart attack in 1983 at the Wyoming State Penitentiary. He was never convicted in connection with any missing people besides BaldEagle. So the Rawlins rodeo homicides on July 4th, 1974, 19-year-old Carlene Brown was last seen in Rawlins. On that day, she went to the fairgrounds to see the Little Britches rodeo with her friend Christine Ann Christie Gross, who was also 19. After that, both of them vanished. Their car was later discovered abandoned between the fairgrounds and the town of Worland, Wyoming, located more than 200 miles to the north. In October 1983, 9 years after she had vanished, Christie's remains were discovered 3 miles south of Sinclair, Wyoming. She passed away from 2 significant blows to the head. Carlene was not there at the site. She has not been seen or heard from since. On October 4th, 1974, Deborah Ray Meyer, who was then 14 years old, was last seen leaving a relative's home in the area of 7th and Spruce Streets in Rawlins. She had intended to walk to a nearby movie theater. She never made it. Deborah is believed to have been kidnapped and her life taken because she has never been found. On August 23rd, 1974, 10-year-old Jaylene Dawn Banker became separated from her friends while watching the Carbon County Rodeo at the Rawlins Fairgrounds. She instantly vanished. On April 24th, 1975, 8 months after going missing, her partially dressed body was discovered in a field. Her death was determined to be a homicide, once again a blow to the head. She was identified through dental charts and a ring found with her bones. So additional cases. After his conviction, Long was tied by authorities to several disappearances and deaths in the Wyoming and Oklahoma areas during the 1970s and 1980s, some of which involved carnivals or similar events. He had a history of sexual violence towards young women, and Long's own daughter claimed that he had essayed her for years and witnessed him try to lure other girls with puppies or stuffed animals. The stuffed animals were found in his car when he was arrested in New Mexico. Cinda Leanne Pallett, 13, was last seen with Charlotte June Kinsey, who was also 13, on September 26, 1981, at the Oklahoma State Fairgrounds in Oklahoma City. Kinsey called her family's home to tell them that she and Pallett had received jobs unloading stuffed animals for the carnival with a male worker. The man they were seen with claimed to be a carnival worker and had approached numerous other visitors at the fair that day. In August of 1985, Long was charged with kidnapping and taking the life of Charlotte and Cinda after he confirmed to investigators that he was at the Oklahoma State Fair on the day that the girls were kidnapped. He was recognized by several eyewitnesses as the man who had approached other children with the same job offer of unloading toys. Using forensic testing, hairs discovered in the trunk of Long's car were examined and identified as belonging to Cinda. Investigators believe that a lock of blonde hair they discovered at Long's Wyoming home may have been Charlotte's. However, the charges against Long were dropped in December of 1985 after the presiding judge disregarded the testimony of Long's daughter and a large portion of the physical evidence. Don't know why he disregarded it. So neither girl has been found, and Long is the main suspect in their disappearances. So we have Carolyn Celeste Eaton, who is 17, previously known as Valentine Sally, was a woman discovered the victim of a homicide on February 14th, 1982, west of Williams, Arizona. Her COD is believed to be asphyxia. She was last seen alive at the Monte Carlo truck stop in Ash Fork, Arizona, during the early morning hours of February 3rd, 1982, on Interstate 40. It is suspected by law enforcement that Long was responsible, considering that he had no documented kidnappings during this time frame and bore a strong resemblance to the description of an unidentified man last seen with Eaton. Long is also believed to have traveled through Interstate 40 after he took the lives of Pallett and Kinsey in September of 1981. On February 14th, an Arizona Department of Public Safety officer discovered Eaton's body westbound close to Interstate 40, 11 miles west of Williams, Arizona, while searching for a flat tire following a car accident. Eaton's body was positively identified on February 22nd, 2021. She had run away from home in Bellefontaine, Neighbors, Missouri on December 25th, 1981, and is thought to have hitched a ride to Arizona. So then we have 12-year-old Sharon BaldEagle. She ran away from her hometown of Eagle Butte, along with her friend Sandy. So we talked about they were picked up by Long, who drove to his residence, went through all that he did with them. He was apprehended in Albuquerque, claimed he left Sharon in Cheyenne, Wyoming, said he was unaware if she was alive or not. He was given 2 life sentences after entering a guilty plea to 2 counts of kidnapping, and then this indecent acts with a juvenile, and unfortunately Sharon has never been found. So that is Mr. Royal Russell Long. See if I can find a picture of him. He is there, see if that one will come up. Yeah, that's Mr. Long there. He's a fine looking fellow there. Just, I can't hardly look at that picture. It just creeps me out. So that is Mr. Royal Russell Long, and this I think is one of the sketches from one of the cases. See if I can make it bigger. Make it bigger on the screen. There it is. Move over a little. So that is a sketch. I don't know if you can see my cursor. Very, very strong resemblance, in my opinion. So yeah, that is Mr. Long. All right. Whew, it's hot in here. Hey, Sunday Doodles. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm here with Headache Listening. Well, thank you for being here, dear. You talking about Sharon? Yes, Sharon was pretty. Let's put let's get this face off here and put Sharon's back up there. There we go. Hey, Miss Barb. Good to see you, my dear. I hope you're doing well tonight. Ooh. I'm gonna wipe my face off. I'm sweating my glasses off here. Good to see you, Miss Barb. Please do check out Timmy's Legacy YouTube channel and a Facebook group. Yep. Sharon's story is yeah. Yeah, you're talking about his face. Are you talking about Royal Mr. Long's list of potential victims? Yeah. Josh says I think I could have gone without seeing his face, to be honest. I know. He is yep, Far says he is very creepy. I agree. Yep. Thank you very much. Sending hugs back to you, Miss Barb. Thank you very much, Josh. There is Josh got in the link to Timmy's Legacy. All right. So that is Sharon BaldEagle, our featured missing person for this one, for this live stream. All right, let's see what we have next. All right, so now we have Tennessee's longest running Amber Alert, still unsolved after it's been 13 years. Let me find the article. So this is concerning Chloie, Leverette, and Christopher Gage Daniel. So first I'm going to give you their information from Charlie Project. They've been missing since September 23rd, 2012 from Unionville, Tennessee. Chloie, white female, she was just 9 years old. She'll be 22 years old as of 2025. At the time she went missing, she was 4'8", 75 pounds, with brown hair and hazel eyes. Christopher, white male, he was 7 years old. He would be 20 years old. 4 feet tall, 50 pounds at the time he went missing. Brown hair, hazel eyes. He goes by his middle name, Gage, and most accounts refer to him by that name. He may be in need of medical attention for unspecified reasons. He is classified as a special needs child. Let's see if there's any other. So Chloe and Christopher or Gage disappear. They lived with their grandparents, Leon, Bubba McLaren, and Molly McLaren, in the 700 block of Kingman Road in Unionville, Tennessee. The children were last seen at home at around 6:30 p.m. on September 23rd, 2012. At 9:30 p.m., the house caught on fire, burned to the ground. The grandparents were killed. Unfortunately, authorities thoroughly searched the wreckage but could not find any sign of the children or their remains. So this reminds me of, I think we've talked about not too long ago, the Sauter children. That house burned down. They never found any remains, I think, of 5 of the 6 or 7 children that were in the house that night. The remains of the McLaren's pets, which was a miniature poodle and a cockatoo, were found in the rubble. No indication of the children of Chloe and Gage's whereabouts. Investigators are still unsure as to what caused the fire, but the county sheriff said he thought the blaze was an accident. The McLarens had over 30 propane tanks in the basement. So dangerous. Not judging, just saying it's so dangerous. And fire officials found evidence that the tanks had ruptured, although there was no sign of an explosion. So that's a little weird, but... So authorities believed at first that the 2 children had passed away in the fire, but forensic anthropologists who examined the scene have found no evidence. The circumstances of their disappearance are unclear. So if you do have any information on this case, you can call the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation at 800-824-3463. So that's just the basic information. So this next article, I think it was 10 years after, 12 years. Let's see, this is from September, or no, when was it from? September 2024, so about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago. Bring them home. Tennessee mother says her kids are alive 12 years into Amber Alert. So the mother obviously believes that they're could be still alive. So Monday marked 12 years as of last year for one of the longest running Amber Alerts in Tennessee. On September 23rd, 2012, Chloie, Leverette, and Gage Daniel went missing after their grandparents' home in Bedford County caught on fire. The mother, Cheryl Dangle, is convinced that her children did not pass away in the fire. Dangle told Fox 17 News that there is still a lot of unanswered questions. She says, quote, "There was nothing found of them, not a morsel. They found a miniature poodle, a cockatoo bird, and my parents, but nothing of either one of my children." The TBI released age progression photos in 2022 of what Chloe and Gage would look like at age 17 and 19. Chloe and Gage, according to their mother, she says Chloe and Gage could possibly still be out there. I have faith that they are, and to please not give up on them. Keep looking for them. Anything, the smallest thing could be the biggest thing to bringing them home, and that is absolutely correct. So a partial statement from the TBI said the Amber Alert remains active and our investigation is still open and ongoing. Agents continue to follow up on any tips or leads they get or uncover. We encourage anyone with information about this case to contact the tip line at 1-800-TBI-FIND or tips to TBI at tbi.tn.gov. Okay, so then I have an article from this year. So now it's been 13 years. This is from KATV.com from the September 23rd, 2025. Tennessee's longest running Amber Alert still unsolved 13 years later. Monday marked 13 years since siblings Chloie Leverette and Christopher Gage Dangle vanished from their grandparents' home in Bedford County, sparking Tennessee's longest-running Amber Alert. Cheryl Dangle, the children's mother, holds on to hope that her children are still alive. This summer would have marked Chloe's 22nd birthday and Gage's 20th birthday. Once again, on the night of their disappearance in 2012, Chloe, who was 9, and Gage, who was 7, were at their grandparents' rural home when a fire engulfed the house, leaving behind only ashes and unanswered questions. Investigators found the remains, once again, of the grandparents, Bubba and Molly, the dog and the bird, but no signs of Chloe and Gage. Dangle suspects her children were kidnapped before the fire, while some detectives suggest the intense heat may have destroyed their remains. Despite numerous tips since the TBI issued an Amber Alert days after the fire, no breakthrough has been made in the case, still as of 2025. In June of 2025, the TBI once again released new age-progressed images of Chloe and Gage, hoping someone will recognize them. The case still remains open. Anyone with information is urged to contact the TBI at 1-800-TBI-FIND. And I think on the slide on the bottom there, you can see the age progression photos. So just another heartbreaking case. Let me see where I was at here. Are you talking about the propane tanks? Yeah, that propane tanks are so any kind of gas tanks are just so dangerous. I don't know why they would have 30. And I mean, now back in the day, my grandparents had a propane stove that they used, but they had one of those big gigantic propane tanks that, you know, like professionals, the propane company would come out and fill the tank. Now, I don't know how big these tanks were that were in the basement. It's entirely possible they used it for, you know, heating purposes for stoves or something of that nature. But yeah, it's just so dangerous. Yes, definitely a heartbreaking case. Josh has been a member for, wow, 13 months. It's been that long. Yes, Josh was one of the first. He says, 13, a perfect anniversary for Halloween. Absolutely. So we get to put a cow in the pasture to thank Josh. Let me find it. There she is. Thank you so much, Josh, for your continued support. Me and Josh go back a long way, even before either one of us had channels. He was a mod in Mr. Steve's channel, and I'd see him in other creators' chats. Always just such a nice guy, smart guy, very insightful comments and observations. And now Josh has his own channel, doing an excellent job. So thank you, Josh, so much. Absolutely. What? Oh, did I miss Lipsha? Wait a minute. Lipsha was in here the other day. I don't know. Did I miss something? Oh, I did. I almost missed it. And Josh gifted 1 membership. Thank you so much, Josh. I almost missed that. I had to go to my starred comments. Thank you, thank you. Oh, so that means, is that why y'all mentioned Lipsha? Where'd it go? Did Lipsha get the membership? Excellent. She was in the chat Monday night or Tuesday night or whenever it was. We had the Missing Person Monday live stream. I think it was Tuesday this week. So congratulations to Lipsha for being the newest member. Thanks to Josh. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right. So we go from Tennessee's longest running Amber Alert to Florida's longest running Amber Alert. So this is Zachary Bernhardt. So I'm going to start out with this basic information from the Charlie Project. So Zachary Michael Cole Bernhardt has been missing since September 11th, 2000 from Clearwater, Florida. He is classified as endangered missing. He's a white male. He was just 8 years old when he went missing. He will be 33 years old as of 2025. At the time he went missing, he was 4 foot 6 inches tall, 60 pounds, with blonde hair and blue eyes. He has scars under his chin, between his eyes, on the bridge of his nose, and on the right side of his upper lip. His nickname is Zach, which may be spelled Z-A-C-K, and some agencies may refer to him as Zachary Michael Bernhardt. He was last known to be wearing, it just says boxer shorts. So Zachary was living with his mother, Leah Hackett, in the 2600 block of Drew Street in Clearwater, Florida, at the time of his disappearance. Hackett told authorities that she had insomnia during the early morning hours of September 11, 2000. She stated that she left the apartment she shared with her son in Clearwater at approximately 2 a.m., took a short swim and a walk around the area. So apparently, she says Zachary was asleep when she left. She said that he had disappeared from their residence by the time that she returned home. He's never been seen or heard from again. Accounts as to when Hackett discovered him missing differ. Some state that she was out of their apartment in only 15 minutes. Others that she was gone as long as 2 hours. So I don't know if this is inconsistencies in her story or just different reports getting, just giving different information from news sources or whatever. So early on in the investigation, authorities stated that they thought Hackett knew more about her son's disappearance than she had disclosed. It says that she frequently changed residences and was facing eviction from her apartment at the time of Zach's disappearance. She maintained her innocence in her son's case. She now lives in Hawaii and has changed her last name to Hansen. So it says Zach's father was never involved in his life. He has not been called a suspect in his disappearance. An extensive search of the area produced no evidence as to Zachary's whereabouts. Authorities believe he disappeared under suspicious circumstances. Kevin Jalbert, who resides near Zachary's home, told an acquaintance that he was a child unaliver, and he was prepared to find another victim in early 2001. So authorities learned about Jalbert's comments and began tracking his movements. He attempted to solicit an undercover officer for assistance in a child abduction, essay, and homicide in September of 2001. He was arrested shortly thereafter and later sentenced to 40 years in prison. So that's terrifying that somebody like that is out on the street. Although, unfortunately, it's even more terrifying that there are more people than we know like that are out there that we could pass by at any time, or maybe terrifyingly see on a daily basis. So this Jalbert claims that he abducted and essayed 1,000 children and took the lives of 5. I'm kind of thinking, I'm thinking he's kind of embellishing the abducting of 1,000. Let's hope so anyway. So his sister says he is a chronic liar and exaggerates to receive attention. He led the undercover police officer to Zachary's apartment building, said he had kidnapped a child from there, but he pointed out the wrong apartment. He also described Zachary's clothing incorrectly. DNA samples from him also did not match available evidence in Zachary's case. As Jalbert denied having abducted the boy, but then he failed a polygraph about his possible involvement in the case. Once again, we know how unreliable polygraphs are. So investigators did find CSAM websites on Jalbert's home computer. Excuse me. It was determined that he visited a nearby landfill approximately 2 weeks after Zachary's disappearance. Jalbert has also been considered a suspect in a child abuse case in Florida sometime prior to 2000. He was never charged in connection with the unrelated case. Authorities state that they have been unable to rule him out as a suspect in Zachary's disappearance. In January of 2002, a 5-year-old boy was kidnapped from the same apartment complex that Zachary disappeared from. This boy said his abductor lured him into a vehicle with a promise of ice cream and drove around with him for around 10 hours. I just cannot imagine the terror of this child. The boy was thankfully left alive in a trash bin in Bushnell, Florida. He was rescued by a passing motorist. It says he may have been essayed. Investigators looked into the possibility that the 2002 kidnapping and Zachary's case were connected, but they found no evidence to support this. The 2002 kidnapping remains unsolved. Zachary is described as an intelligent and cheerful child who excelled in school. He was a 3rd grader. His disappearance, unfortunately, obviously is unsolved. So if you have any information, you can contact the Clearwater Police Department at 727-562-4422. Let's see, where's that article? Okay. So this article is the one that came up in my Google feed. It's from September of this year. It's from Fox 13 News. Where is Zachary Bernhardt? 8-year-old at heart of Florida's longest Amber Alert disappeared 25 years ago. So 25 years ago, on September 11th, exactly 1 year before the 9/11 attacks, Leah Hackett told police that she tucked her 8-year-old son Zachary into bed, went for a middle-of-the-night swim in the community pool, and returned to an empty apartment, sparking Florida's Florida's longest running Amber Alert. So on September 11, 2000, Zachary's mother, Leah, called police at 4:47 a.m. to report that her son had disappeared from the Savannah Trace apartments. Hackett told police that she went for a walk. She took a dip in the community pool while Zachary was in bed. And when she returned to their apartment, he was gone. Now, 25 years later, he is still missing. Billy Joe Jimenez, who is Zachary's aunt, says it's still as devastating as it was the day it happened. It does not get better with time. They feel as though they've been holding their breath for decades. She said it's almost like you never get a chance to exhale. Investigators call the disappearance suspicious. Clearwater Deputy Chief Michael Wallach says an 8-year-old goes missing in the middle of the night and nobody has any answers. Zachary's aunt says, I believe that he was taken from his home by an abductor, someone that has watched him go back and forth to school from where he went. Zachary's grandmother, Carol Bernhardt, says you don't believe that it's happening to you. You think he's hiding somewhere around the corner. There were kids. Jimenez, who was, I believe, the aunt, says there were kids that had DNA pulled on them to prove it was not him. On 9/11 in Pennsylvania, there was a Zachary Bernhardt that they couldn't get to investigate to see if it was him. It's been very hard to have covers for him since he is missing on 9/11. The deputy chief of the Clearwater Police Department, Michael Wallach, has been involved in the case since day one and takes it personally. He says, we have an 8-year-old kid who should be 32 today, and somebody knows something. The area was searched in and out by hundreds of people. Detectives gathered more than 350 pieces of evidence, and Zachary's case fills 35 binders. Wallach added that the information in those 35 binders was recently scanned into one searchable document using Project Adam, which is the name for Adam Walsh. That makes it easier for an investigator to type in one word and search for a particular term. So the technology is advancing every day, and we are using these technologies to further our case. The case has changed hands over the past quarter of a century, which Wallach says is beneficial because it gets fresh eyes to look at it. Wallach explained it could be the smallest piece. It could be a piece that we haven't realized yet. There's that technology that changes. 25 years ago, cell phones were not prevalent. 25 years to this day, Zach would have been 32. What do you use every day? People have cell phones. People have cameras nowadays. So there could be that one little piece of technology that we're missing. Could there be one little piece of evidence? But there's somebody out there who knows something. And it may be small, it may be big. We need that person or persons to come forward and say something, because we are reinvestigating the case all the time. We say it all the time. If you see something, say something. If you know something, say something. If you saw something, say something. He said police still get tips from across the country about possible sightings of Zachary. The tips come in on an anniversary or when stories run about the case or the department puts something up on social media. People do call, and there is a case here and there where people call and say, hey, I think I saw him. Unfortunately, all the leads we actively followed up on turned out not to be him, but we continue to evaluate those. As soon as someone calls or emails a tip in, we are on top of that lead. Wallach noted that over the past 25 years, no one has been ruled out as a suspect or a person of interest. They would not say whether at this point in the investigation that they do have a suspect or person of interest. They just said nobody has been ruled out. Wallach says in 25 years, Zachary's mother Zach's mother has not reached out to us and asked us what's going on. A little bit red flaggy to me. She has not asked what's active in the case. She hasn't asked what the status of the case was. He says, recently we traveled to another part of the state of Florida to talk with her, and we were met with negative results. She was very uncooperative. He says, if that was your son that was 8 years old missing, would you be calling every day, every month, every hour? Absolutely, I would be. You wouldn't you want to know what is going on? Absolutely. And he said they just basically got nothing from her. She didn't want to know anything, didn't want to, So according to a previous Fox 13 news report, Zachary's aunt and grandmother have shown constant support to Zachary's mother, who faced her own obstacles, being questioned in her son's disappearance early in the investigation. Jimenez stated, we kind of felt that it was best for her to get out of the state in order for her to be able to try to find herself mentally. Okay, so I understand that parents, loved ones of missing, that have missing loved ones, do need their mental health matters too. They need to get themselves together mentally and emotionally, but do you have to leave the state? Okay, let me put it this way, not judging. If it was my kid, I wouldn't leave the state. I would stay right there just in case. In a lot of these cases, that, kids have been missing as long as Zachary, 25, 30, 40 years. Parents live in the same house. They keep the same phone number just in case. Just saying, just my opinion. Not judging by any means. Just saying, everybody reacts differently to these kinds of situations, but so the aunt goes on to say, people have no idea what it's like. Don't judge somebody else's situation until you walked in my sister's shoes one day. Absolutely. But just recently, detectives went to speak with Leah Hackett. We were met with negative results, very uncooperative. Jimenez says there is a reason for that. She says, my sister has cooperated from the beginning. She's given interview after interview with police. There's nothing left to say. Now there's nothing else left. There's nothing left to interview. That's just maybe causing more trauma to her and her daughter that she doesn't need. As for why Leah doesn't call police, she said, why should she call? Or the aunt said, why should she call? If there's information, they should be calling us, which is true, letting us know that they found Zach or have any other information. It's a double-edged sword. So Zachary's mom has lived under a cloud of suspicion. Jimenez says it is time to move on. Excuse me. She said in all the years, her sister's story has never changed. She misses Zach and wants him to be found. I have no doubt that 99.9% have no doubt that she, does want to know what happened to her son. There have been several leads over the years, but nothing has panned out. In summer 2001, an acquaintance of Kevin Jalbert's told detectives that he claimed to have taken the life of a child and planned to do it again. An undercover detective made contact with Jalbert, and the pair drove through Clearwater. And Jalbert reportedly told the detective, pointed to the Savannah Trace apartments and said that he abducted an 8-year-old boy. However, he did not point to Zachary's apartment, and he said Zachary was wearing different clothes than the ones he was wearing the night that he disappeared. When he was taken in for questioning, he reportedly denied taking Zachary. And once again, he was later convicted of solicitation and CSAM. He is currently in prison. So on New Year's Eve of 2001, Another young boy was kidnapped from the Savannah Trace Apartments by someone witnesses say was driving a white van or truck with stickers on it. If Miss Doodle's still here, I can hear her now. The creeper van, the white creeper van or truck. And so that was the child we were talking about that was found alive in the dumpster. Police say the suspect in that case has not been located. So what does Zachary's family think? His family has their own theories. They have never wavered in their belief that Zach is alive. Jimenez, who is his aunt, says, I think that someone has taken Zachary, definitely kidnapped him. They searched for days and found nothing. He was not in the area. At first, the family searched crowds for Zachary's face, hoping to spot the 8-year-old they remembered. Now they rely on age-progressed images showing what Zachary might look like today in his 30s. And that picture on the right hand of the slide is the age progression. Jimenez says, I watched my nephew grow up on a poster. I watched him age progress through his life. Jimenez says they believe the case is solvable. And on that, the police and the family do agree. Detective Wallach says someone knows what happened to them. We need everyone and anyone who knows something to come forward. Jimenez, the aunt, says one day we will know what happened to him. Until then, we'll keep hoping, praying, and keeping his face out there because he is somewhere. So what can we do? We know what we can do. So once again, at the time of his disappearance, Zach was 4'6" tall, around 60 pounds. He has straight blonde hair and blue eyes. He also had a small scar on the bridge of his nose, chin and lower lip. The National NCMEC released this age progression photo showing what he may look like today. So anyone with information on it, his disappearance is asked to call Detective Daniel Bieber at 727-562-4242. I think that was... Okay. Back into your comments. Oh, give me another drink. Man, that was a long article, but once again, you know me, I like to find articles with the interviews with family members and law enforcement. Yes, he was a cute little boy. So the age progression is what he would look like today at 23 years old. The one on the right. Absolutely. Thank you, Miss Mustang. Yeah, Josh says, what undercover officers have to go through to get justice in these cases. I know. Yes. Did I miss Lipsha? Oh, there she is. Oh, hold on. Pushing the wrong buttons. Almost kicked myself out. Hey, Lipsha, good to see you, and congratulations for your gifted membership from Josh. Sorry, my nose is itching. So I had my camera off. I was itching my nose here. Well, welcome, Lipsha. Good to have you back. And once again, congratulations. Yep, Miss Barbara says, I could never leave. I will always keep my phone number just because I might have something to say. No judgment, just me. This is living a normal. Yeah, like I said, once again, I absolutely wasn't, I'm not judging Zachary's mother. But if it was me, she moved to, what did they say, to Hawaii. I understand most definitely, she needs to take care of her mental health and things of that nature. But if it was me, I mean, I don't even have kids of my own. I mean, I have helped raising nieces and nephews and, you know, friends' kids and things of that nature. But I mean, even if it was, even if it was one of my nieces or nephews or whatever, and they went missing, I would never move. I would never change my phone. I would keep the same phone number. I mean, but that's just me. I mean, just in case, just on that, because you can never lose hope. We always have to keep hope. Yep, definitely a nightmare. Yeah, Miss Barb says that's why you don't change numbers. Somebody knows something. Yep, absolutely. I was thinking that too. Josh says, I know in some cases parents will keep their missing kids' room the way they left it for years. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, I think we got one more story. This is a on a happier note, a Jane Doe got her name back. This is regarding Marion Vanetta Nagel McWhorter. I believe this is from Oregon, I believe. So the first article I have is from People magazine. It is from September this year, 2025. I cannot talk tonight as usual, even worse than usual. If I get rid of all these dang ads. Anyway, it's covering up the. Okay. So the remains have now been identified as, and she was known as Swamp Mountain Jane Doe. So the remains have now been identified as Marion. Sorry, these ads are jumping in my way. Marion Vanetta Nagel McWhorter, who went missing in 1974 after she was last seen at an Oregon mall. Oh, God. Now I can close that thing. Okay. So nearly 5 decades, 50 years after she vanished, the remains of Marion Vanetta Nagel McWhorter have been identified through DNA. McWhorter was 21 when she was last seen at a shopping mall in Tigard, Oregon in October of 1974, according to CBS News. Her younger sister, Valerie Nagel, who is now 62 and living in Seattle, said she was 11 at the time that her sister disappeared. She says, I was very surprised that they called. I was really glad that they found me through DNA. McWhorter's remains were found in 1976 when a moss hunter spotted a skull with several teeth near Wolf Creek by Swamp Mountain and alerted Lynn County authorities. Investigators later recovered additional skeletal remains along with Levi's jeans, a frayed leather coat, a leather belt with beadwork, 2 metal rings, and a clog-style shoe. So Oregon State Police said the case of the Swamp Mountain Jane Doe advanced in stages over many years. In 2010, a bone sample went to the University of North Texas Center for Human Identification, and a profile was added to NamUs. Additional testing in 2020 produced a more detailed genetic marker profile. And in 2023, Valerie, her sister, Marion's sister, submitted her own DNA through Ancestry DNA, hoping that it would help. So the breakthrough came in April of 2025 when a first cousin, once removed, uploaded a profile to Family Tree DNA, which I believe is one of the, because I believe law enforcement can use Ancestry DNA site and this Family Tree DNA, if I'm not mistaken. Allowing genealogists to refine McWhorter's family tree and identify Nagel as a surviving relative, according to the agency. Officials confirmed the identification in June of 2025 and publicly announced it this week, which was in September of this year. Nagel told CBS she later learned that on the day her sister disappeared, McWhorter or Marion called an aunt for a ride near the Tiger Mall, but they did not meet. Nearly 20 years later, the aunt disclosed that Marion had mentioned a man in a white pickup truck. What is it with the white vans and the white trucks? So Marion had mentioned a man in a white pickup truck who offered her a ride. With that new piece, Nagel said she started in earnest with more searching, including combing online databases of unidentified persons. She recalled, I remember spending a lot of time on those pages, just scrolling through and trying to look. Marion was the oldest of 5 siblings. Nagel was the youngest. Their mother is Alaska Native of the, I'm going to try not to butcher this, Otna Athabaskan people, and the family said that McWhorter was named for an aunt who passed away in 1940 at a boarding school for Indigenous children in Alaska. Nagel told the outlet her sister's disappearance reflects the broader crisis of missing Indigenous people, particularly women, amid limited public safety resources. Unfortunately, so true. Sadly true. In a statement, Oregon State forensic anthropologist Haley Collard Stalder said the case was, quote, cold for 49 years. She said that means that family members lived and passed away without ever knowing what happened to their missing loved one. She added that McWhorter likely did not go missing voluntarily. The Linn County Sheriff's Office is continuing to investigate the circumstances surrounding her death. And for Nagel, her sister, the confirmation closes a decades-long search. She said, I never forgot about her. Absolutely not. So let me see what this article was about. See if it had any additional information. So this article is from CBS News. It was from September, around the same time. So it might just have the same information. Let me skim through it really quickly. Valerie Nagel, the sister, said, I was very surprised that they called. She was 11 when her sister went missing. I was really glad that they found me through DNA. Yeah, once again, it says high rates of disappearances of Indigenous people, particularly women, have festered for generations amid inadequate public safety resources. I mean, it's basically just the same information. Okay, so Valerie, who lived in New York with her parents and one of her brothers at the time of her sister's disappearance, said her mother may have contacted authorities, but that she wasn't sure the exact extent of the efforts made by her parents to find her sister. She says, I mean, there were efforts to search, but it was limited. We didn't have that much to go on. She does know her sister had come from California to Oregon with plans to continue on to Seattle and eventually Alaska when she called an aunt who lived near the Tiger shopping mall for a ride in October of 1974. The aunt did not end up meeting with her. And then we have this man in the white truck that offered her a ride. So nearly 20 years later, the aunt shared another detail. When McWhorter called her that day, she told her that a man in a white pickup truck had offered to give her a ride. It was unclear why her aunt waited that long to share that information. Nagel said that when she learned this puzzle piece, she started in earnest with the searching. So it's talking about the Let's see. So, Jolene Kelly was one of the ones, I think worked for Family Tree DNA. She says this was one of our oldest unidentified cases, and I think it just goes to show you that no matter how long somebody persists in being unidentified, we won't give up trying to identify them. Once again, the Lynn County Sheriff's Office is working to determine the circumstances of McWhorter's death. So hopefully they can find out something. Right. So like I said, I just want to kind of end with a little bit more positive. I always like to I like this story. You got any guys you guys know who's been around for a while? I love this genetic genealogy thing, and so many of these cases, especially lately within the last few years. Jane and John Doe's have been identified with this genetic genealogy. Some of potential alleged offenders have been identified using genetic genealogy. So there is hope that a lot of these cold cases are being solved, or at least being given new life, new leads. So I'm always happy to bring these kinds of stories. All right, let me get caught up in your comments. See what's going on. Oh my goodness, everything, I'm all itchy. So now around here, they've basically got all the crops harvested, all the crops cut, but now they're burning off the fields. So we got the smoke going on. So that irritates me really bad as far as allergies and itching and all that good stuff. Let's see. Yep, Josh says, yeah, there may be various reasons and circumstances. One has little choice but to move, finances, DV, other reasons. Absolutely, absolutely. I agree. Absolutely. Miss Paula says prayers for her family. Absolutely. Miss Barbara, yes, prayers for the family. It's bittersweet. Absolutely. Yep. Josh says sending love and hope for justice for Marion. Hey, Boston Christian. How you doing? Good to see you. We're just hanging out, talking about some of the usual missing persons, cold cases, case updates, anything non-true crime related, whatever. You know it. You know how it goes. Thank you, Mustang. Yep, Josh says, I sure needed to end with a person who is one step closer to getting justice. Absolutely. Yep, Boston says, she is so precious and beautiful. Absolutely. She was 20. She doesn't look that old. She was, what, 21? When she went missing. I think she doesn't look 21 in the pictures that I've seen of her, but I think she was 21. I believe. 21. Let's see, I think that's the last one I had. Why is it not? Oh, I guess I didn't put my end slide on there. All right, does anybody have anything else that you guys want to talk about? Any other cases, any developments, anything that's been going on? I know there are a lot of cases going on right now. Thank you, Josh. Says thank you for the great live. Thank you guys for being here. So Monday was, I guess, still got to figure out what city. Any suggest, because Chris, I don't know if Chris is still here, but he asked earlier If I'm still taking suggestions for cities to feature missing persons from for Missing Person Monday, I absolutely am. I have no clue yet what city I'm going to do for Monday, and tomorrow is Saturday. So Mustang says New York City. We can do New York City. Absolutely. Boston says, call his name in your time of suffering. May God bless these poor families that suffer this. Absolutely. Well said. Thank you, Ms. Farr. And thank you once again, before I forget, Josh has been a member for 13 months, and he also gifted us a membership that Miss Lipsha got. So thank you once again to Josh for that. Trying to think if I had anything else. I think that is all. Let me check my bookmarks again, just in case I added something in last minute that I didn't have a slide for. So we did that one. Once again, really quickly, just for anybody who might have missed it, we do have a lady missing from North Little Rock, Arkansas, or here in Arkansas, Central Arkansas. Miss Brittany Clayton. She is 25 years old, black female, 5 foot 4 inches tall, 230 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. So her family, she's been missing since October 10th. Her family spoke to her by phone on Friday, and her car was later recovered in North Little Rock Target parking lot, but she has not been seen or heard from since. The article said that her family was under the impression, let me make sure I get it right, that her family was under the impression that she was heading to West Memphis, Arkansas, but she never made it there. She's not been seen since her family last spoke to her on the phone on Friday. No one has seen her since then. Was again, her car was later found in the parking lot of the North Little Rock Target store. Anyone with information is urged to contact the North Little Rock Police Department. It just disappeared. At 501-758. Sorry, my nose itches. 1234. So that is Miss Brittany, and I will put that poster on my community tab. I'll share it on my community tab. Why is it not going back to comments? There we go. Oh, goodness. What am I doing? My comments disappeared. There they are. All right, guys. We're going to get out of here for the night. So I had requests for, what did Mustang say? New York City. So I'll look into New York City. So if you have anybody, even if you're in chat, after the live ends, you can put any city suggestions in the comment sections. If you're watching Replay Crew, once again, thank you. You can put suggestions for cities for missing persons for Monday's Missing Person Monday Live in the comments. You can always email me, southerngaltruecrime, hotmail.com. If you're on Facebook, you can Facebook Messenger me, or a friend request me on Facebook if you do Facebook. Right, so I think we're going to get out here for tonight. Thank you once again to everybody that was here. Let me get back to the comments. Everybody have a good rest of your weekend. I'm going to spend the rest of the weekend tomorrow and Sunday watching football as usual during football season. And I will see you guys hopefully Monday night. Depends on who's playing football Monday. No, I should be on Monday. If not, I'll let you know, and then we'll push it to Tuesday. But it should be on Monday. So as usual, we're going to leave, since I still haven't got my outro done, my new outro done, with the fur babies, Tigger and Biscuit. So you guys be careful, be kind to each other, take care of each other. We're all we have. Stay safe, stay aware. As Dave says, don't die. Please do check out Dave out on the prowl. He kills me. That's how he ends his lives. Don't die. Anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you Monday.